If you've been scrolling through endless listings of submersible pumps, staring at rows of horsepower numbers and discharge sizes, and still feel like you might end up with a unit that either can't keep up or is wildly overspec'd for what you actually need, you're not alone. That hesitation usually shows up the moment you picture the pump in the middle of a muddy trench, a flooded basement, or a temporary dewatering setup on a construction site and wonder whether you're about to waste money or, worse, face a costly failure. The Tsurumi NK3 is the kind of product that promises to settle that debate, and I'm going to walk through why it might be the right fit for you or why you should look elsewhere. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the NK3 sits in a niche that most hobby-level pumps simply don't address: heavy-duty, high-head, abrasion-resistant dewatering for construction, mining, and emergency remediation. If you've ever tried to clear a waterlogged excavation using a garden-type pump, you know how quickly the motor overheats when the inlet gets clogged with sand or fine debris. Tsurumi's reputation in the rental and industrial sectors comes from designing the impeller and volute to survive exactly that kind of gritty workload. The pump's 2 HP motor can push roughly 111 gallons per minute at a respectable head, which translates to enough pressure to lift water up 3 feet of vertical rise while still moving a large volume horizontally. In practice, that means you can run a single unit from the bottom of a 12-foot pit and still have a steady flow to a discharge hose that reaches the surface without needing an additional booster. One of the practical strengths that often gets lost in spec sheets is the internal terminal board that lets you switch between 110V and 220V without rewiring the whole unit. On a job site where the power source can change from a standard generator to a higher capacity 3-phase supply, that flexibility cuts down on the need to carry a spare pump or an extra transformer. I've seen crews set up a single NK3 on a trench that started with a portable generator, then later connect it to a site-wide 220V panel when the main power kicked in, all without unplugging the pump. The transition is as simple as flipping a selector and tightening a few screws, no electrician needed on the spot. Another real-world advantage is the pump's self-priming capability. When you drop the unit into a pit that still holds pockets of air, it will automatically draw water up to the impeller within seconds. That eliminates the dreaded pump flood routine where you have to manually prime the inlet with a bucket of water. In a flood cleanup scenario where minutes count, that self-priming action can be the difference between preventing water damage to a basement and watching it seep deeper into foundation walls. Now, let's talk about who should actually consider this pump. If you're a contractor who regularly runs dewatering jobs on sites with loose soil, sand, or gravel, the NK3's abrasion-resistant housing and sealed motor are built for that wear and tear. It also shines for emergency responders handling flood-related disasters. The ability to quickly move over 6,000 gallons per hour can keep a residential building's lower level dry long enough for crews to set up more permanent pumps. For mining operations where water inflow can be both high volume and filled with fine particulate, the pump's robust design helps avoid the frequent shutdowns that cheaper units suffer. Conversely, if you're a homeowner looking for a small, occasional solution to a backyard pond leak or a garden irrigation line, the NK3 is overkill. Its 2 HP motor, 3-inch discharge, and heavy-duty frame add a price tag and size that you'll never fully utilize. A portable utility pump in the 2 HP range would handle those tasks with less hassle and a smaller footprint. Also, the pump's weight over 50 pounds means you'll need a forklift or at least a sturdy dolly to move it around, which is something a DIY user might find inconvenient. When it comes to weaknesses, the first thing that shows up in field reports is the noise level. Because the motor is designed for high output, the NK3 can generate a loud, industrial hum that's noticeable a few hundred feet away. In a residential neighborhood or a site with strict noise ordinances, you may have to schedule operation during off hours or use additional sound dampening enclosures, which adds extra cost and setup time. Another practical consideration is the 3-inch discharge hose. While it's adequate for most dewatering tasks, certain high-flow scenarios like moving water from a large open pit might benefit from a larger outlet to reduce friction loss. In those cases, you'll need a reducer or a separate pump to handle the final boost. Maintenance is straightforward but not entirely hands-free. The pump's internal seals are designed to last for years under abrasive conditions, yet Tsurumi recommends a full inspection after every 500 hours of operation. That includes checking the impeller for wear and confirming that the motor windings remain dry. If you're renting the unit out to other contractors, you'll want to